Hoop City for Paul Sir, who is away for the weekend, but he will join us around 11 o'clock. We'll have a good chat with him for about 40 minutes. But Doug McLean along with Josh Fenwick. Josh, you've been busy already this morning. How's Saturday morning going for you?
Well, Saturday morning's going lovely, all things considered. Got home from work at 2 a.m. yesterday. Woke up at the right old time, 7 a.m. this morning. Feeling good.
Just what's in the car. Just what you want. Right?
Everything that everyone could hope for and more. Am I right, Doug?
Well, it's a perfect Saturday. I mean, it's chilly in Edmonton, so maybe not. Although I was dumb enough when I was a kid, I probably would have been out playing on the driveway shooting hoops, to be honest, which was maybe tells you a lot about my intelligence some days. But a little bit of a chillier day, but it's a busy day, and we've got a great show lined up for you. Again, stepping in for Paul, but we're gonna just kick things off here a little bit over the first 20 minutes. Get to our poll here momentarily. Talk a little bit. It's a busy weekend in hoops on the high school. It's a busy couple of weeks in hoops on the high school side, so we'll touch on that a little bit. And then we're going to bring in someone who had an unbelievable weekend last weekend for the NAIT Ooks. Mikah Reed will join us. Put up 46 points and an ACAC record 14 threes last Saturday evening. So she's going to join us in studio. We'll chat with her and get a bit of a sense of, hey, just what it felt like to be that much in the zone for one evening. She's having a really good season for Kira Lions and the NAIT Ooks. And then we'll be joined by the MacEwan head coaches. First, David Kapinga, head coach of the men's Griffins team. And then Katherine Adams will join us, head coach of the Griffins women's team, as they are into exam and Christmas break. Been a quick first half of the season, to be honest. I do the Golden Bears and the Pandas games over at the U of A, and it's been a really quick start to the year. But nonetheless, we'll touch base with MacEwan and get a sense of how things have gone for both of them early in the 2025-26 season. And then we're going to get Paul Sir, as I mentioned, on with us, and we'll touch on a whole range of things. We'll get into the deep dive with him and Josh for a good part of the 11 o'clock hour, going through some key stories in the NBA and what's going on there. And then we'll wrap things up before noon and get everybody off for the rest of their Saturday. So we appreciate you listening in on YouTube, wherever, on Sports 1440, wherever you're listening to us here today. And Josh, we just get to the poll question. I mean, this question, we chatted a little bit before we get on air. We got on air, but I mean, full disclosure, I'm a Bucks fan, have been since I was a kid growing up in the 80s. Why I'm a Bucks fan, I have no idea. Makes absolutely no sense. They were awful in the 80s. But nonetheless, so the poll question, we're going to throw it at you today. Should the Bucks trade Giannis? Yes or no? Of course, that was a big story earlier this week that broke that there had been some potential discussions. It's been disputed somewhat whether those discussions are happening or not between the Bucks and Giannis's team. But is it time for my beloved Milwaukee Bucks to move on from Giannis Antetokounmpo? Well, guess we'll find out. Josh, what are your thoughts on that? I'll give mine in a sec, but I want to hear what you think.
Sure. I think they absolutely should trade Giannis. This is a guy that's been with you for a long time, brought you a championship, won MVPs, is the second greatest player to ever play for your franchise. And he's not blameless in any of the bad things that have happened or things that haven't worked for the Milwaukee Bucks over the last few seasons. But he's been patient with things that haven't worked, and you owe it to him, essentially. Like, this is a guy who wants to win another championship, and you're not on that path right now. So I think he's got to go. Where he goes, nobody knows.
We'll get into that at some point in the couple hours here too. No, I think you're bang on. I 100% agree with you, as much as it pains me as a Bucks fan to say that. But I mean, the reality is this, and you and I were chatting a bit off air. I mean, they win the championship in 21. And they, look, Giannis is a freak. We know that. That's
in the nickname.
It's in the nickname, but he is, in terms of the nature of the way he plays. But that doesn't mean that he can do everything by himself. They just simply don't have the consistent scoring around him. You and I talked about Drew Holiday being gone and just how much of a factor. And I think the Bucks underestimated the Holiday factor in what that meant to their lineup, and they've never replaced him. Obviously, lose a secondary scoring in Chris Middleton, who was frankly aging out a little bit and was banged up. But they just have not provided that depth to support what Giannis needs. And I think, hey, as good as he is, he can't do everything by himself. And I do worry a bit, and I'll say this. I mean, again, it's an incredible talent to watch, but I do worry about the nature of the way he plays. And he's banged up right now, 2 to 4 weeks at least. Is he a guy that drops off fast? Or can he be a guy like a Kevin Durant, let's say, who can continue to play and just find new elements to his game as he gets a little bit older? That's the part I'm not sure about with Giannis going forward.
Yeah. I understand where the concern for that comes from because he does play a very physical brand of basketball. However, I mean, he's 32. I wouldn't say that he's going to develop a 3-point shot all of a sudden.
Nope.
However, Brook Lopez did, so I could be wrong. But he's very good at setting up offenses as well. So if him being there to be a primary ball handler essentially, or a secondary ball handler even, like gives him a little extra something. Like Tim Duncan, he took his foot off the gas. He started averaging 12 points a night, whatever. If you just stay down on that low block and you get some rebounds and you put up a couple layups, you don't have to rim run all the time. But his body is definitely starting to break down. I think he wants one more, and then I think he's ready to call it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think you're right. I mean, I think the fact that again, the nature of the way he plays and the speed at which he plays, and I was lucky. I was at the Olympics last summer in Paris and got to watch Greece play, and so saw him live. It's really incredible to watch him, just how fast he is. And for a guy that big, I mean, it just should not be humanly possible to move the way a guy, and there's lots of guys in the NBA that can do that at that size. So, I mean, he's not the only one. But to be able to watch him, and again, that the way he handles the basketball, his touch and his agility around the rim, I think that's the stuff that maybe goes away a little bit as you get older, and especially with the injuries. But you're right. If he can be a guy that's okay being a little more back to the basket, a little more presence in the post, he's not the guy that's going to have the ball in his hands from the perimeter, putting the ball on the floor and attacking from the perimeter, then the career extends. But I think you made a good point at the end, which I totally agree with. I think he's the guy, if he gets that next championship, I do think he's the guy that retires, let's say, quote unquote, early. Yeah. I don't think he's the guy that's going to drag it out longer than maybe he needs to. I just don't see that with him. I think he's got other interests in his life. I think you hear him in interviews, he's a very cerebral guy. I just think basketball is important to him. I don't think my sense with him, and I haven't had a call with him about this yet, but my sense with him is that it's not his life in the sense that I don't think it commands everything about what Giannis is about.
No, absolutely. Like his whole family moved back to Greece. Like he's the only one left in the States. So I think obviously like there's a little more itch to, go back and be with his family. He has young kids. He has a wife who he loves. All those things. Wants to go back. I think it also depends on. I say when he gets traded, but if he gets traded, where it is he ends up. Because there are some teams where if he ends up there, he's poised to win probably 2 more, and going 1 is like, nope. All right, hold on. I got another chance here. But if he gets traded to a place like the Hawks, and then they go on a monster run and end up winning the championship this year, it's just like, yeah, all right. Like I got my 1, but I'm banging the drum of like the Spurs or the Thunder. The Thunder have so many pieces that like they could just call up the Bucks and be like, what do you want? Like tell us what you want and we'll work it out. But you definitely get the Clippers pick and the Utah pick from this year. And what more can I do for you? And continue on that way. If he gets traded to a place like the Thunder or the Spurs, you got Victor Wembanyama on the Spurs and Steph Castle if he stays in the trade. And then on the Thunder, it's like you got so many guys.
Yeah.
If he gets traded to the Thunder, then that's like 3 more guaranteed championships as long as he stays healthy all the way through. So depends on really where he gets traded, but I think this last contract is his last one.
So the Thunder are interesting. I mean, obviously they're having an unbelievable start to the season, just blitzing everybody. And SGA again, another night last night where he can sit in the fourth quarter and just put his feet up and relax. I think I heard it's half the games he's played in this season that he's done that, and it's just unbelievable. But here's my question to you. If they get in the Giannis sweepstakes, do you risk disrupting what you have? I mean, yeah, great. Always nice to add another big piece, both literally and figuratively. But do you need it if you're the Thunder, or if you're the Hawks? Is that a team or that helps push you over? Does he help? I might agree more with a team like San Antonio, where you take a little bit of the pressure off Wembanyama. Yeah, Giannis can still play his game for the time being. But the Thunder are interesting. I'd heard the Knicks a little bit earlier in the week too, but
Everyone wants the Knicks. Everyone says
I
the
don't.
Knicks.
I can't stand the Knicks.
They're
That's
the New
another
York
story.
Knicks. They want a nice, shiny new
course.
toy. I just don't think they have the pieces to get it there.
No.
I think on the Thunder, that's a good point. Do they disrupt what they have? Because they have to give up one of their guys. I think it would be Hartenstein and some of their young pieces that play in their second rotation, like an A.J. Mitchell or something like that. But you do have to give up someone that you have paid money to because of the second apron rules in the NBA. I think you do risk taking the vibe that whole team has and throwing it away. But I think when you have a player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, who are superstars, let's be honest, they'll just be like, nope, this is a winning move. Like, we have to get with the program, and he fits the mentality that we have. Defensively sound, run and gun, get out there. Like, they have the number 1 defensive rating in the league for a reason. They are so sound defensively. It might take a little bit of time for them to go, all right, we're playing with Giannis, but Giannis is also a guy who can play off the ball, and it doesn't really change all that much. But yeah, no, I see where you're coming from with the Thunder there. The Spurs makes sense, your reasoning, but yeah, all things around. The Bucks want to trade him to a place where he wants to win, but they also want something in return.
Yep. Yeah, and that's going to be the challenge. I mean, that's always a challenge in big deals in the NBA. Is that, I mean, you don't have big rosters. So, you're moving big pieces. You want a big piece back, and that's tough to do. And that certainly, like you said, I think takes the Knicks maybe a little bit out of the equation to some degree, because of the pieces that just simply won't be involved. But your point on the Thunder is interesting, because I think they've clearly built a culture there that it's a very team-oriented. I mean, yes, SG obviously has the ball in his hands a lot, but I think you'd be hard-pressed to call him a selfish player. And you and I have both seen lots of selfish players in the NBA over the years. And so a team that could absorb a Giannis in, and I think Giannis is a player, too, that can adapt his game to what a team like the Thunder might need. So
absolutely, that's
an interesting thought for sure. And we'll touch on that over the course of the show a little bit more, and we'll hear comments, I'm sure, from the poll. Again, the poll: do you think the Bucks should be trading Giannis Antetokounmpo? Yes or no? Let's jump a little bit into some of the local scene. Let's try to slow down here a bit. The Totem Hoop Classic. Get that out over at Ross Shepherd High School, going on this weekend. The girls' final will go tonight at 5 p.m. It'll feature Spruce Grove. They were provincial runners-up last spring. They won the semifinal last night, 45-44, really tight one over Jasper Place. And they'll face All Saints from Calgary in the final, who knocked off Lindsay Thurber in their semi, 69-45. And the boys' final will go after that at 7 p.m. tonight. Host Ross Shepherd. They'll be in the final, so that'll be a rockin' gym, I'm sure, over at Shep, as they knocked off Cardston 82-56 in their semifinal. And they'll face the defending provincial bronze medalists in the Scona Lords. In the final, they beat Miller Comp out of Regina 100-95. Next week, the Reb Invitational, of course, long-standing tradition here in the city. Armbray Academy from Halifax, they'll be making their way out here as well. Teams from Vancouver, Prince George, Burnaby, Saskatoon, Regina, Calgary, Cologne, of course, and other teams from Edmonton. So it'll be a busy tournament, as it always is, over at the Reb Invitational. So as much as we head into the Christmas break on the university and college scene, certainly really things pick up on the high school scene as their seasons get rolling here pretty quickly. Again, we will talk in a little bit to wrap up the first half of the college seasons. We'll get Katherine Adams and David Kapinga from the MacEwan Griffins to join us. Mikah Reed, we mentioned, will join us from the NAIT Ooks. And I mean, Josh, 46 points. That's a pretty unbelievable night for her. ACAC record, 14 threes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even, hey, I was a very, very average basketball player back in my day. I can't fathom those kind of numbers, but I'm very curious to get into her head a little bit to hear just what it feels like to be in a zone like that on one night.
No, absolutely. So Mikah Reed, sister of Paul's former producer,
yes.
Ryan Reed.
Yep.
And that's how I found out about this performance. Was I follow him on Instagram, and he'll post lots of things related to what his sister does. And he posted that and said something very vanilla, but I went, oh, what? Oh, 46 points. Wow, that's a lot. Oh my God, 14 threes. And was I was blown away. So then I know one other person on the team. So I was texting her. I was like, oh my God, what was happening? Like, what was going on? And she was like, I couldn't tell you, man. Like, it was just next level, you know? I was absolutely blown away by all of that. I cannot believe what I saw. 16 of 28 from the field, 14 of 21 from three. Where do you get the nerve to do something like that? And she just kept pulling the trigger. They won 89-52 in that game. Oh, my God.
Yeah, the numbers, just an unbelievable performance by her in her fifth year at NAIT, who are off to a fantastic start themselves, sitting at 9-2. So, yeah, really curious to get into her head a little bit and hear what that was like. Because, again, I don't know what it would be like to be in that kind of zone because I was never within 5 area codes of that kind of zone. So I'm very, very interested to chat with Mikah Reed. So let's step out, we'll take a break, and then we will get back, and Mikah will join us a little bit after the break, and we'll talk NAIT Ooks basketball and her performance last week. It's Doug McLean, Josh Fenwick on a Saturday morning. You're listening to Hoop City on Sports 1440. A little bit after 11 this morning here on it was actually a really lovely morning. I got to say, I was out doing a bit of shoveling this morning first thing, and yeah, it's chilly, but it's just one of those nice Edmonton mornings where it's cold, but it's quiet, it's still. So, and just all the snow having fallen in the last 24 hours. So yeah, just a really lovely morning. We're just going to get Mikah Reed here in momentarily. Again, talk a little bit about her performance last week with the NAIT Ooks, as they knocked off Lethbridge Polytechnic 89-52 in that game Saturday night, where she put up 46 points. But back to the comments, we were just before the break talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. And as I said, full disclosure, having been a Bucks fan my whole life, it's tough to see him go. But, a player that I think has given all he can to the city of Milwaukee. He's indicated for a lot of years that he wanted to remain in Milwaukee and be part of a contender. And I think they've been competitive. They just maybe haven't been able to find a way to build the pieces around him. And we were talking a little bit about the ones that have gone, from Drew Holiday to now Brooks Lopez to Chris Middleton. And, having just the inability for them to get set up with some of the pieces to support Giannis and the Bucks. I think, unfortunately, it's made that situation, I won't say untenable. I don't think that's it. But, there are already rumblings that maybe he's played his last game as a Milwaukee Buck with the injury that he's dealing with right now, out maybe 2 to 4 weeks. But the pieces that they can get back, that's going to be the tough thing for anyone to put themselves in a position to actually make a move and get the pieces back that the Milwaukee Bucks will need to put themselves back in contending status. Or maybe they're going to go back to be what they were like for most of my childhood, where they were just frankly awful. So we'll see what happens. But we're all set to go. We've got Mikah Reed in studio. Mikah, thanks for coming in on a Saturday morning. Appreciate having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
So we've already talked a little bit about it, but just an unbelievable performance for you last Saturday night. Your team wins 89-52 over Lethbridge Polytechnic. I know that's the most important thing for you. You want the win.
Of course, yeah.
But 46 points, 14 threes. Just put us in your mind, how does it feel to be in a zone like that where just everything is clicking for you?
It was crazy. I think I blacked out for most of the game. I came off at the end, and I didn't even think I had 30 points. I was so disappointed. I was like, my coaches have been encouraging me the whole game. They're like, you're going to get to 40. I was like, I didn't get there. I'm so sorry, you guys. I tried so hard. So in the moment, it's obviously like every time I touch the ball, I'm looking to shoot it first. So it was open a lot. And I was like, okay, I'll just keep hucking it up. And so that's how it felt. It was pretty weird. I was just like, okay, I'm open again. I'll just shoot it. And then, I didn't realize how many I had or what was happening until very end of the game. And that was pretty surreal.
Because I think your career high, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had 7 earlier this year, you had 7 early in your career, and then you had back-to-back 6 3-point nights when you played at MacEwan against Lethbridge, if I'm not
against U of
mistaken.
L.
So,
Yeah.
so you've certainly had nights where you've gotten going, but I mean, 14 is a whole other level. It's an ACAC record. I mean, the previous record was 11. Like, it's not even close. So, again, like you said, you're just kind of in a moment where you're just playing, right? That's sort of the sense I'm getting. You're not even, the numbers aren't in your head. So, did you feel you had a game like this coming on a little bit over the last while?
No, I had no idea it was coming. It was another normal week of practice too. I like same prep that I do for every other game. Although I had a blue Powerade, so maybe
there's the key.
Game changer for sure, right there. Yeah, it was another normal week, just casual end of a road trip. It was kind of stressful because last game of the semester. And we needed to get a sweep, and we did, thankfully. Let's go. But it was so random. Came out of nowhere, and then it was just, well, I guess today's a good day.
Well, it was a good day, and it's been a good year for your team. I mean, you sit 9-2. You're a half game back at Concordia right now in the North Division, the ACAC. I mean, you had 11 wins last season. Got to the championship tournament where you finished 5th. Had a good run there. What have you been able to build from that run last season into this year? That's again led to a really, really good start for your group.
Yeah. Well, we have a very similar group than we had last year, which is super nice. It's super helpful. That means everything that we did last year, now we're just building on that and enhancing all the things that we were learning. And all of us playing together, the chemistry is so much better now than it was last year. We've had more time to work with each other. And a lot of girls that are usually out of town were in town all summer, which was also huge for all of us, just being able to play together for that extra few months. And our coaching staff is amazing, as always. They do a really, really good job at putting people in positions to succeed when we're on the court, with like plays that they'll draw up or plays that we practice however many times where we're like, we want to get her a post up here, we want to get this person a 3, we want to get this person attacking the rim downhill. And so using that and using all the different tools we have, because we have so many different weapons, and we can go so deep that it brings a new level to our game, because it's not like you've got to key in on just this person or just this person. You've got a lot of people out there that it's like, I don't know how to guard these people,
right.
Which has helped us a ton this year and led to that 9-2, the nice little record.
And you talk about continuity, and that's such an important thing in college and university basketball. And it's even a little bit trickier at a school like NAIT, where you have some students that might be there for 2-year programs, or there might be someone like you who's in your 5th year.
Yeah.
So how important is that continuity piece when you have that? Again, you've got an offense you're running, you have that built in, but just the ability to know just from a reflex what someone's going to do, how they're going to react in a certain moment. How much of a difference does that make for a team like yours?
It's huge. Being able to play with people that you're like, I've played with these people for like 3-4 years.
Right.
Like it's, their tendencies, what they're looking for, how they're going to look for you. And then you play with these same girls for however long, even like in games, you're playing with them for however many minutes, and you just kind of get into a flow where you're like, great, you're going to drive right, I'm going to like come behind you, and that I'm going to be wide open. And learning what each other wants, because I think most of my teammates know I'm probably not diving to the rim 90% of the time. I'm probably going to just float around the arc and just wait for the ball and hope. So like them knowing that about me, them knowing I'm probably not diving to the rim, I'm probably getting wide. And then, me knowing for everybody else, like you want to get to the rim or whatever kind of looks they want, how they want to get the ball, things like that. Like being able to learn that over the last few years with these girls has been great. And it's just kind of all clicking and coming together right now, it feels.
So having on pretty good authority from a good source, your coach, namely Kira Lyons, said that you're a teammate that loves to celebrate and support everybody else. So she said it was nice to be able to do that a little bit for you last week. But my question to you is, in your mind, and you've played, again, it's your 5th year, you've been playing basketball a long time, like what makes a good teammate in your mind?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Being there for the highs and the lows is so important. We're all on a similar journey, but they're still all very, very different. We have things in common, of course, like we're all playing, but we all come from different places. We all come from different home environments and everything like that. Being able to learn how other people interpret things that you say and how you say them is so important, because you could say the same thing to two different people and they interpret it two extremely different ways. And that comes from team bonding. It comes from learning about who you're around, like, because we actually care about each other. Yeah. So we want to hang out with each other and learn more about each other, and learning about our pasts and what we hope to get out of this and everything like that. How we just learn in general is so important when it comes to, like, just talking to your teammates in practice, talking to them outside of practice, make sure everyone's doing okay and things like that. Knowing how they need to be talked to is so important, and it's something that it takes a long time to build, that respect and trust between teammates, and then knowing that you can hold other people accountable and things like that. You build that over time, and then once it comes to the moment, you know that you've got that relationship down already, that it's like, I know how I can talk to you, and I know how you need to be supported and how you need to take criticism from other people, like how I can say that to you. It's very different person to person, and it's really, really important for teammates, but leaders especially, to learn how they can talk to their teammates and how they will interpret it based on how, like, what the tone, what you're saying, how you're saying it, that kind of a thing. So in general, I think that's really, really important to being a good teammate. I don't have it down pat. I like to think I do a pretty good job at trying to get to know people when they come in and first join our team, and but it's hard. Like, it's a big group of girls. It's tricky to learn everything about everyone, but you kind of just got to do your best and ask questions and try to get to know everyone around you. And I think that it's ultimately what leads to being a really good teammate and a good supporter, leader. Yeah. No,
that's a great answer. And I think your point about really listening and understanding how people communicate and what they need. And is it for a team that has championship aspirations like the NAIT Ooks do, does that, because you have that trust and understanding, does it put you in a different spot in terms of being able to, and I'll use the word challenge teammates. I don't mean that in an aggressive way necessarily, but does it put you in a better position to challenge teammates because you can see, hey, I know you have the ability to do X. So does it that communication allows you to maybe push teammates a little further than you might otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. And then not only that, but it also allows that where I know how they respond. So I've told teammates to do, I'd be like, you need to start looking for this, and they're like, I know, and I'm like, okay, I know that's not about me, you're just in the heat of the game. And that's also part of knowing your teammates, where they also might just be in the heat of a moment and they're going to respond like that, but it's not about you, that's just how they're going to respond, and that's not something that you need to take personally. And so I kind of forget the rest of your question now that I'm talking.
No, that's all good. I'll jump to another one. So, I mean, we talk obviously a lot about the on-court stuff, but you're a student athlete at the end of the day, and you're balancing this sort of dual career, being a student and being an athlete at the same time. For you, how do you find a way to balance both? And tell me a little bit about your plans post NAIT and what you're looking to do.
I didn't really figure out how to balance everything properly until probably 2 years ago. That was a long journey for me, because when I was in high school, it just kind of came quite a bit naturally to me, and it was just and then in my first couple of years at MacEwan, I was so focused on the basketball part of it, and I was just like, I just want to get better, I just want to be valuable to the team in whatever way I can be. So that was my main focus there. And then once it kind of gets to your fourth and fifth year, you start to think about, I actually have to do something after this. And then that identity crisis starts to hit a little bit. Right. You're like, I might have to actually dial in to the school part of it, and not just, be like, it's easy, it's fine, doesn't matter. It's kind of pushing yourself to that next level of but I can do better than that. So I've kind of started to figure out the last couple of years how exactly to balance it. It's more just planning out everything that I possibly can and making sure that I stick to the plan that I have for myself. Because especially when you're looking for a career outside of this, a lot of the things that you do in sport can help you, and being a part of that team environment really helps to be in the actual workforce, because all those things you learn about patience and leadership and cooperation with people that you don't necessarily really know super well right off the bat, that translates to a workforce so well. And then learning those skills early and a team environment where there's a lot of forgiveness and you can mess up and it's okay, is so important when you're, going into the real world after that. Yeah, I'm in marketing,
right.
which is it's interesting, but it's funny that I've been doing it for 5 years now, and I still feel like I don't know a lot. But when I start to do assignments, I'm like, I actually do know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. And because I'm in that sports world, I would like the dream is to kind of be a part of sports for as long as I can be. I do a lot of coaching as well on the side. And then, so if I can kind of like be like a marketer for a sports team, that's kind of the dream, because I can just stay around sports, and it's what I know. So it's kind of the easiest path for me to follow, and I think I'd have the most fun. And my older brother works, he works for sports, like a team in Brooks, and I know how much he loves that. And he was like me when he was younger, where he's sports, sometimes school, we dabble. But I was watching him being able to do that. It kind of made me realize I can just stay around sports as long as I want to, hopefully. So, yeah, that's the dream.
That's good. I mean, as someone that works in marketing myself, I'm still trying to figure it out 25 years in. So, hey, you're doing fine you're doing fine. So, no, and I think that's a really interesting part of the whole student athlete journey that we don't necessarily hear as much about, because there is such a focus on the sport piece, but yet behind the scenes, and I'll tell you just a really quick story. I first got doing some broadcasting at the U of A back about 25 years ago, and ended up on a bus with the teams going to Lethbridge. I thought that was going to be kind of, I don't know what to expect on these buses. It was dead quiet. Everyone's studying, everyone's, right? And it sort of gave me a really quick lesson in, that's what this is about. I mean, yeah, you're playing hard, you're practicing, but there's so much more to it behind in terms of where students like yourself are trying to get to. Yeah.
It's a weird awakening moment where you're like, whoa, we care. We care about that, actually.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And there's like an award at the end of each year for teams with the highest GPA. My team, we're always gunning for that. Yeah. We're like, we really, really want to be in at least the top 3.
Right,
so,
which is great.
Yeah, we try to put a big emphasis on school in our team as well.
When you mentioned, I mean, your brother Ryan, former producer of this show, and I've worked with him on Edmonton Stingers broadcasts as well. So what were the basketball battles like with him, or do they continue to this day, perhaps?
Yeah. Well, he previously held the record in our family for most threes in a game. And it was in high school, though, so every time I hit one in college, I was like, it's a little bit better, though, right? Yeah, he had 13. Well, actually, the number is a little bit iffy. There were different stats taken that game, and I think we're going with 13, though. Sorry, Ryan. But, yeah, he had 13 in a high school game against one of our Sherwood Park opponents, and, like, all my brothers play basketball, and so it's a bit of a running thing. So as soon as I got this, we got a message from our high school athletic director at our old high school saying, well, I think we can now agree that Mikah is the best shooter in the family. And I'll take it. I'll take it. All my brothers have been really successful in everything that they've done in basketball and in life. And those competitions that we have when we're younger, when we're playing on the driveway 2-on-2 and we're all fighting and mad at each other, I think really helps. I genuinely think it did help me quite a bit, learning about conflict and, how to kind of figure that out when coming into a team environment like this, because we fought a lot on that driveway. But I think it made us all better. So we definitely all compete a lot. Ryan and I especially, we're the oldest too. So, but we're all each other's biggest cheerleader as well. Like, we're supporting everybody. We're all so happy. Like, my brothers were the first ones that came to me and were like, this is so sick. I'm so proud of you. And I was like, you guys, you love me. This is beautiful. But friendly competition, for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good. Hey, you got that battle on those driveways, though. That you learn a lot from those. Yeah, for sure.
Going against a 6'5" guy, you learn a lot from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mikah, congratulations on the outstanding performance and the start to the season. Really appreciate you coming in, and best of luck in the second half of the year. 9-2 right now. Yep. Hope to see a big push from the Ooks, and expect that'll be the case. So good luck the rest of the way, and have a great break and great Christmas. Good luck with exams.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That is Mikah Reed of the NAIT Ooks. Again, an unbelievable performance. ACAC Athlete of the Week, 14 threes, 46 points, part of a team record 17 threes that the Ooks put up in their win over Lethbridge Polytechnic. We're going to step out. We'll be back with Mikah's former coach from MacEwan, Katherine Adams, is going to join us, as well as the men's coach at MacEwan, David Kapinga. Doug McLean, Josh Fenwick here on Hoop City on Sports 1440. Sports 1440, along with Josh Fenwick. And we're now excited to bring in the head coach of the MacEwan Griffins men's basketball team. Took over that program back on May 12th. David Kapinga from MacEwan will join us. David, thanks for joining us here on a Saturday morning. I'm not hearing. We maybe muted there, David.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're all good. Awesome.
Perfect.
So you take over a program that, let's just be honest, it has struggled. You had 2 wins last season, 3 straight winless seasons before that, but you're 2-8 right now. So what have you liked about your start, and maybe what has challenged your group so far this season?
Yeah, what I've liked about our team is the resiliency. I think coming from previous seasons as such, 0-20, 0-20, and then 2-18, you would think that the players maybe won't have the will to fight, to crawl back into a better season. But that's something that I haven't really seen. Like, guys come in every day ready to work with new hope, and ready to develop all the time. And they ask so many questions, and we get to learn. So that's the part that I've been really, really proud of, and have been able to execute a few times. It's the thing that's been a little bit of a struggle has just been, the pace at which we need to learn to convert to those wins. We've been in a lot of games, and something that, let's say we learn a lesson this weekend, and like, okay, now I know we can handle this thing here. Next weekend, it's a new lesson, right. And then we have to learn that lesson, and eventually you get to a point where you have all the lessons, and then now I can handle pretty much all those things. But it's just kind of been that progression and time that we need to get those lessons, so we can turn things around.
And building on that point, you've got a handful of fifth-year players, and not to suggest you have to be a fifth-year player to be a leader, but you have no fourth-year players on your roster, so you're a little bit of a younger group in some ways. Have you seen some of your younger guys already start to step into that leadership role that they're going to need to fill once these fifth-year guys are gone?
100%. As of right now, I have a good idea who I want to be my captain next year. And it's the first year this year and the second year next year, yeah. Right? So it's been really, really cool to see that, because I told everyone, I don't really care what happened in the past. This is a blank slate. You take what's yours. What happened last year is last year. And there's been guys that heard that message and really, really took initiative. And I'm that type of person that I allow people to be who they are. And then if that's the job that you're good at, and that's I don't care how old, how many years you played, who you are, take the job. That's yours.
One player of yours that's really stood out to me is Diego Persingular. I thought he just had an outstanding season last year, and again, an example of a guy you just talked about, a young player who really took command in a lot of ways of that group. What have you seen growth-wise out of him in his second season now with the Griffins? Yeah,
Diego is one of the guys I've been the most hard on, as a previous point guard. You kind of see all the little things like you wish you couldn't see, but he's like, I have to tell him about this. I have to tell him about that. So my challenge to him this year was, I need you to become a better point guard, a better leader. Last year you scored a lot, and this year you might not score the same, but I need you to play make. You're an important piece of this puzzle, and if you don't play make, who will? We started with passing. Well, we started with even just seeing help side. That's something that it wasn't innate to him. So we did a lot of funky drills, a lot of film work, for him to start seeing things. Then from seeing things, now I have to manipulate and make that pass. So now that's the second step of us right now is can we make perfect passes on time, on target? Why do you pass the ball to him and not him? Okay, well, I thought he was open. Yeah, he is open. But as a point guard, what I want you to do is make the killing pass, not just the pass. Everybody can make the pass. And so that's been something I've been really, really harsh on him about. And I've told him I'm really, really proud of the step he's taken and where he's come to until this day, because it's day, night and day. And you can see his confidence in making decisions and calling even the plays. Like, hey, you can't call this play. This guy's on the court. Or, hey, you can call this play because this guy's on the court. And he's starting to see that, and we have a great relationship.
So again, you said that, and again, the past is the past, but a program doesn't turn around overnight. What has been your message to the group in terms of where you see this team getting to over the next few years? What's your message to the guys that are either there right now or even the guys that you're looking to recruit and bring in?
Yeah. For me, basketball, just like really anything in life it's pretty simple. There's 2 rules that I have, and then that rule then leads into the vision. So the rule that I have for each individual is be self-aware, know what you bring to the table, what you're not good at, and then be social aware. So, okay, I'm a good shooter and they need shooting. Like, I better be ready. I'm probably going to go in. I'm a good defender and this guy's killing us. I better be ready. So you preparing yourself individually is number 1. And then now how do I bring that individual skill or talent to the team and find solutions? And right now, our goal is always playoffs. Once you make playoffs, anything can happen. So development of culture, of understanding who I am, and then how do I help my teammates find solutions to the problems? How do I stay calm? Because that's something that, with the team that's been losing before, there's this thing that I call PTSD of like, as soon as you start to lose again, like you get sad. You're like, oh, this is like last year. And I'm fighting that emotion all the time against them, and finding how to control the temperature of, okay, they need fire right now because they're down. Okay, they're down, but they need care. They need love at this moment to kind of solve this problem and for us to stop that run from the other team. So for me right now, it's just about creating good culture, them understanding themselves, understanding the mission we're on, and then how can themselves and their skill set help that mission.
And last one for you, and I know it's all about team, but you got a weekend coming up in January. You're facing the Calgary Dinos, and of course, you won a national championship. You were MVP at the Final 8 that year. So, how is that game going to be? That weekend going to be a little different for you going up against Coach Van Hoorn, or different nerves, or is it treated like another weekend?
I'd like to say I treat it like another weekend, but not really. I'll be honest. Dad is like a big mentor to me. Like, he helped me a lot in my young days, and even until this day. And then knowing Kyle, knowing a lot of the players, like there's gonna be a little like family feud type thing. Like so this game, that weekend is gonna be a little bit more special for me. Good and bad. I hope more good than bad. But I think it'll be a very exciting weekend, and I'll make sure the team is prepared for it.
Well, David, really appreciate you hopping on this morning. Enjoy the break, enjoy the Christmas season, and best of luck in the second half of the year.
Thank you, Doug.
That is David Kapinga, head coach of the MacEwan Griffins men's basketball team as they head into the break sitting at 2-8. And now we're going to switch gears and jump to Katherine Adams, the head coach of the Griffins women's basketball team, as they too are halfway through the season, heading into the exam and Christmas break. Katherine, thanks for joining us here on Saturday morning.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. Hi, and thanks for having me.
Great to have you on. Your 10th season as the head coach of the Griffins, and I know you sit at 0-10. We're not going to dwell on that, but you've had a tough schedule. I mean, hey, you play 4 games against the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country, in the Saskatchewan Huskies and the Alberta Pandas. It's a tough schedule, but there have been some good signs from your team. What have you liked about the first half of the year so far for your group?
Yeah, I mean, certainly some challenges, but I think we play in the toughest conference in the country. I think right now there's 1, 2, 4, and 7 ranked team in the country, all in the Prairie Division of Canada West, which I mean is tough but great, because in order to be the best and grow and improve, you want to play against the best. And you're right. I think there's a lot of things that you look at our record and you say 0-10, but I think we've made some really big strides in just our level of compete. And I mean, the reality is probably we could have had 4 wins in there, and we're still learning how to kind of get over that hump and win those games, those close ones that we're in. So really happy with the growth and the way that we've just competed, so far. I think we've gotten better from weekend 1 in Saskatchewan to our last weekend against Alberta.
And just touching on that last weekend against the Pandas, you put up 59 points, and you losing that game on the Saturday, but put up 59 points against one of the better defensive teams in the nation. So is that a good example of some of the momentum you can carry through into January?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a big thing that, when we talked about that weekend, is creating that exit velocity and knowing that scoring has been a challenge for us, so far this year, and finding ways to score. And I think the big thing for us is just finding different people who are getting comfortable in their roles and finding opportunities to be able to score, and things that, we've seen demonstrated week in and week out in practice that haven't just quite translated yet into our gameplay. And so certainly really great to see some of those things, come through in the last game heading into the break. Certainly some positive momentum is, we break for exams, but certainly Lethbridge is in the back of our mind.
This season, you bring back your two leading scorers in Unity Obasui and Tony Gordon, two players I've really enjoyed watching. I mean, just really unique and fun talents to watch, as well as your leading rebounder last season, Samantha Hickey. Does that solid foundation, and they've got eligibility left, all three of them, so does that give you that solid foundation that you can really start to build things around to get your program back to, I know, where you expect it to be?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's Unity. Watching her play and the way that she can score the basketball, and even just the growth that she's made. It's funny, you talk to a few coaches and they're like, oh, she's graduating this year. I'm like, nope, she's a third year. Yeah. They're like, oh God, okay, we got to deal with her for a couple more years. But I do think that we've demonstrated that we have some really key pieces. And obviously the way Unity scores the ball, Tony just brings so much versatility with her athleticism and ability to get downhill and create and force teams to have to worry about her in that sense, and also defend. She's a bit of a matchup nightmare because who do you put on her? And she has versatility to be able to defend a lot of positions. And Sam's second in the country in block shots right now. So I think there's really a lot of pieces that we can look at and point to and say, okay, we have some really great things happening here. Those players, they still have the rest of this year and another year to grow together. Sam, Unity, and the majority of our group actually have 2 more years till they're ready to graduate. So you certainly can, look at the future with optimism in where we're going and how this program is building.
And who else? We mentioned those 3 players, but who else from your roster has really stepped up so far this year for you?
Yeah, I think we've had, different people in different moments. Paige Massier has come in and been really great at the defensive end, just a spark plug for us. I know, in our game against Mount Royal, when we were down 26 at half and had a chance to tie it, at the end of the game, she really came in defensively and got a couple steals and made some stuff happen. The nice thing is we have some versatility in the point guard spot that, depending on what we need, we can, Ali and Ayla bring, just different strengths to the position. And we have the ability to kind of go with what's needed given our opponent and what's working that weekend. Sophia McKinnon's come in and shown that, she started knocking down some shots, which is something that, we've needed to aid in the scoring stat. So, I think a lot of people, it hasn't been one person consistently, but different people over different weekends have kind of found their moment to really step in and give us what we've needed.
And we've mentioned a couple of times the fact that, exam break, Christmas break coming up. How do you as a coach manage that time frame? Because of course you need to give your players time for studying, time for some family time, but you also don't want to lose that momentum and all the work you've put in, throughout the summer and into the fall. So how, as a coach, do you find that balance of kind of doing both?
Yeah, I think this break is so necessary for them right now. It's, you play 5 weekends straight plus the preseason. Like it's a long haul getting to this point. And we've got such an academic group that their focus certainly has shifted towards that side of things right now, as it should. And I think you give them the time they need to kind of focus on that, but still stay connected. And still, we're talking about Lethbridge next weekend. We're talking about next semester, or not next weekend, but when we're back. Yep. We're talking about our schedule and where we're at. And so it may not be front of mind, but we just stay connected during that break and continue to keep the conversation alive about where we're going. And the nice thing about this group is that they're so bought in and so invested in who we are and where we're going that it doesn't really take a lot of work on my part to keep that, momentum going.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. We just had Mikah Reed, a former player of yours, in studio here with us. Of course, she had an incredible weekend last weekend with 46 points and an ACAC record 14 threes. What do you remember about her as a player when in her 2 years with MacEwan, and what did you see in her game that's maybe led to where she is right now?
Yeah, Mikah, great kid, although she's not a kid anymore, but so happy to see the performance, she put forward. And we were talking about her performance, her 46-point performance. I'm like, man, team's got to know that she has that ability. And she had a couple games for us. I remember back-to-back games in Lethbridge where I think she hit six threes in back-to-back games. And we won a couple games that year against some big opponents where she was a huge part of coming in and hitting a couple threes when she was a rookie. So I'm not at all surprised to see. She's always had that ability to do it. And, as a veteran athlete now who's really kind of come into her own, I think it's fantastic and I'm so happy for her.
Well, Katherine, really appreciate you hopping on the show this morning. Always enjoy watching your teams play and enjoy the break and best of luck in the second half of the season.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. Good to see you.
That is Katherine Adams, head coach of the MacEwan Griffins women's basketball team. Again, 0-10, but I do think it's a bit deceiving. She's always run such a good program there at MacEwan, and they've had some really competitive teams over the years, and you can see that dynamic starting to come together again. And it would be so good to get back to a point or get to that stage where you got the Pandas and the Griffins both battling for playoff spots here in Canada West. So best of luck both to David Kapinga and Katherine Adams as they head into the second half of their respective seasons. Well, we're going to step out and then come back with the guy, Paul Sir, the guy that's normally in this chair. He'll join us at the 11 o'clock hour for most of the second half of the show. Doug McLean along with Josh Fenwick. You're watching and listening to Hoop City on Sports 1440.